Hey there, it's Lindsay from Full Bloom Acres. How are you doing today? In this quick video tutorial, I wanted to show you how I make my morning smoothie. So I think smoothies can be a really great way to have a nutritious breakfast on the go. It could be a great post-workout snack. Really, it can be a lot of different things, and what it is for you is going to kind of determine how it is that you make it, right? So if you're using it as a meal replacement, say for a breakfast or something, you're going to want a little bit more protein, a little bit more oomph in it. But if it's more of just kind of a snack or something a little lighter, you might want to ease off a bit on that, okay? So you can use it for different situations, and your recipe is going to look a little bit different. But really, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for your body. And how do you know that? You try it, okay? Trial and error here. So what we're making today is just my basic smoothie. This is literally what I have most of the days of the week that I work out. If I'm not working out until a little bit later in the day, I will have something like an oatmeal or a buckwheat, cream of buckwheat, or an oatmeal. This is more for on the go. And it's a quick, easy thing to have in my car while I'm driving, so I can save a little bit more time in the morning. So let's get started. I have all of my ingredients laid out here. Grab my milk, I forgot to grab that. So I'm going to lay out the recipe for you, but you're going to want to add the ingredients in a specific way, okay? You want your liquids on the bottom. So whether you're using water or whether you're using milk or almond milk, I have almond milk here, that's my go-to. You want to cover the blade of the blender. And then you're going to put in any powders that you have, followed by your fruit, followed by your greens. And what this does is, if you put your powders on top, as soon as you turn your blender on, they are going to fly all over the place, and you're actually going to end up wasting a lot, or you're going to have to take a spatula and kind of scoop it out around the sides because it will fly up. The other thing that it does is having the fruit and the greens on the top is that it kind of pushes the stuff down, again, so those powders don't go everywhere. But the thing with blenders, you always want to have a liquid touching the blades. Otherwise, it's going to kind of stop and make this like horrible, horrible noise. So just know that going in, okay? So typically, what I do, I don't usually measure because I've been doing smoothies for so long. I pretty much know how to do it, and I know what works best for me. So when you're first starting out, I would suggest following a recipe just so that you get the taste right, and then you can always adjust it as you go, okay? So let's get started. So first things first, I have the almond milk here, and what I'm gonna do is pour just enough in so that I cover those blades. And usually this is about, I would say about a cup or a cup and a half, depending on your blender. The next thing that I do, I'm going to start with all of my powders. So I don't use a specific protein powder, I kind of make my own. What I do use a lot of times is going to be a collagen powder, and I found that this is really helpful for my skin, so I am using that today, and that, yes, is a protein. But what I found is I can't tolerate a full scoop here. So I do measure it out, and I take a little bit over half of a scoop, and that's just what works best for me. And we're almost done here with that, so I'm just gonna dump the rest in so I can finish off this container. So that's good. The next thing I have is Comfort. So I put about a tablespoon of those in, and those you're going to want to keep in the fridge. Put those right in there. I have ground flaxseed. You can use whole flaxseed if you have a high-speed blender, okay? Your stomach, your colon, your large intestine can't digest this outer seed, so you have to cut it open for them somehow, okay? So 2 tablespoons of that, about, again, I'm just kind of measuring here quickly. Usually I just kind of dump it in there. Next up, I have chia seeds. So again, about 2 tablespoons of those. Same thing with the chia seeds, you're going to want to use a high-speed blender so it can crack the shell open. If you don't have a high-speed blender, you can soak those in a little bit of water. So measure out your 2 tablespoons and just cover with water and soak those for about 10 minutes. That's going to turn it into a gel, something that your body can actually absorb. The next thing that I put in when I'm working out, I'm adding a glutamine supplement, L-glutamine. So this helps build lean muscle. And that's just a straight up L-glutamine powder here. There's some thought that L-glutamine helps to repair the gut lining as well. We don't have good evidence on that, but hey, if it helps your gut, I guess I'm all in, right? The next thing we have, so prebiotic fiber. I use acacia powder here, and this is feeding my gut microbes, and really, really good for you. We'll talk more about prebiotic fiber later, but I'm up to about a teaspoon of that. So I'm going to measure that out, dump her on in. And I have some dates. So I like to sweeten it a little bit depending on what fruit I'm using. I don't always use dates. Just know that high-speed blenders don't really like dates, okay? So you might get some chunks, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I use probably 2 or 3 of those. They're just whole pitted dates, just the ones you get in the dried fruit section. Okay, so those are all of my powders. So I have my liquids on the bottom, I have my powders and my dates in the middle. Next up, I'm going to add some fruit. So today I have strawberries here, so just frozen strawberries. I buy those when they go on sale at the grocery store. I buy a lot of them and then I cut them up and freeze them myself. Cheaper that way. So I'm looking for about a cup or so of fruit. And depending on how your body tolerates fruit, it might be a little bit less than that. So I have my strawberries, and I'm also going to add some cranberries. Cranberries are super healthy too. And again, these are frozen. So I'm just going to actually dump those right in my measuring cup. Again, I don't usually measure it, but for today I am. So you can see I have about a cup of the frozen fruit. Dump it right on in there. Next up, greens. So these are my frozen greens from last year. This is kale. So I chopped it from my garden and I froze it. And you could do this with fresh kale, you could do it with fresh greens, whatever you want. And what I do is I just take about a handful, maybe throw a little more in there. If you're looking for about a cup, you could actually fill this bad boy up, but something to know, it is a ton of fiber, it's raw fiber. So if you are not used to having a lot of fiber in your diet, it could cause some digestive issues. So know that going in. If a smoothie kind of upsets your stomach, it probably, I would be willing to guess that it's the fiber content, okay? So maybe less than that a little bit. Freezing greens actually helps to break down those fibers before you do, which is kind of cool. So it does tend to be easier to digest than raw. You could also steam your greens before. Seems weird, but you could steam them the night before, just throw them in the fridge, and then you're good to go, okay? So we're going to actually blend this bad boy up. Okay, great. So typically I blend a smoothie for about 45 seconds to a minute. Again, I'm using a Vitamix mixer here, or blender. So it is a high-speed blender. If you're using something not as powerful, you're probably going to need to go a little bit longer. And another thing to note, if you remember I said that blenders don't like dates in particular. If you blend it starting on a really slow speed for a while, you're going to hear it kind of chop through all that. As it breaks down, you're going to be able to go up to a higher speed. And again, we need to have that high speed so that we're breaking open the flaxseed if you're using a whole flaxseed, or the chia seed. So here we go. So if you would happen to, if it stops because it's too thick, that means that it's, liquid isn't getting to that blade. So add a little bit more liquid. But if it's way too runny for you, then you can actually add, you could do more greens, you could do a more powder if you wanted to, or the easiest thing is just add some ice, okay? So however you want to do it. I like to put my smoothies in a mason jar. Why? Because it fits in the cup holder of my car. So it's very easy to just take on the go with me. It makes a little bit more than a cup or a mason jar full. So I just drink that, before I leave the house. But if you have 2 people drinking it, then perfect. You're well on your way. So here we go. Let's pour it out. And again, with smoothies, it's not about what they look like, okay? Because those greens are gonna turn them some funky colors. All right, there we go. So let's see how we did. Cheers, guys. I'd say that's pretty good. So again, the color, if you can see the color here, is not great, right? But let me tell you, it does taste good and it has all these nutrients in it. So, you know, we pulled it together quick and easy. And if you keep everything in the same spot, I know it's a lot of ingredients, but keep it all. I have a smoothie drawer right under me actually. So I can just pull everything out and put it right in there. All right, you guys, let me know if you have any questions and let me know what kind of smoothies you're making. What's blending in your blender this week. All right, have a great week. Take care.